Kyiv, Ukraine, AP, rescuers searched for survivors Thursday in the ruins of a theater blown apart by a Russian airstrike in the besieged city of Mariupol, while a ferocious bombardment left dozens dead in a northern city over the past day, authorities said. Hundreds of civilians had been taking shelter in the Grand Column Theater in central Mariupol after their homes were destroyed in 3 weeks of fighting in the southern port city. Nearly a day after the airstrike, there were no reports of deaths. With much of the city cut off from the flow of information, there were also conflicting reports on whether anyone had emerged from the rubble. We hope and we think that some people who stayed in the shelter under the theater could survive, Petro Andrushenko, an official with the mayor's office, told the Associated Press. He said the building had a relatively modern basement bomb shelter designed to withstand airstrikes. Other officials had said earlier that some people had gotten out. Ukraine's ombudswoman, Lyudmila Denisova, said on the Telegram messaging app that the shelter had held up. Satellite imagery on Monday from Maxar Technology showed huge white letters on the pavement in front of and behind the theater spelling out children in Russian, Yeti, to alert warplanes to those inside. Russia's military denied bombing the theater or any place else in Mariupol on Wednesday. The strike against the theater was part of a furious bombardment of civilian sites in multiple cities over the past few days. In the northern city of Chernihiv, at least 53 people had been brought to morgues over the past 24 hours, killed amid heavy Russian air attacks and ground fire, the local governor, Vyacheslav Chaus, told Ukrainian TV on Thursday. Ukraine's emergency services said a mother, father and 3 of their children, including 3-year-old twins, were killed when a Chernihiv hostel was shelled. Civilians were hiding in basements and shelters across the embattled city of 280,000. The city has never known such nightmarish, colossal losses and destruction, Chaus said. She was my girlfriend. At least 21 people were killed when Russian artillery destroyed a school and a community center before dawn in Mariupol, near the northeast city of Kharkiv, according to Mayor Veniamin Sitov. The region has seen heavy bombardment in a bid by stalled Russian forces to advance. In eastern Ukraine, a municipal pool complex where pregnant women and women with children were taking shelter was also hit Wednesday, according to Pavlo Kirilenko, head of the Donetsk Regional Administration. There was no word on casualties in that strike. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for more help for his country in a video address to German lawmakers, saying thousands of people have been killed, including 108 children. He also referred to the dire situation in Mariupol, saying, "Everything is a target for them." The address began with a delay because of a technical problem caused by an attack close to where Zelensky was speaking, Bundestag Deputy Speaker Katrin Goering-Eckardt said. Zelensky's office said Russian airstrikes hit the Kalinivka and Brovary suburbs of the capital, Kyiv. Emergency authorities in Kyiv said a fire broke out in a 16-story apartment building hit by remnants of a downed Russian rocket, and 1 person was killed. The UN Security Council planned to meet Thursday on the crisis. Russia is committing war crimes and targeting civilians, Britain's UN delegation tweeted. Russia's illegal war on Ukraine is a threat to us all. Russian President Vladimir Putin went on television Wednesday to excoriate Russians who don't back him. Russians will always be able to distinguish true patriots from scum and traitors and will simply spit them out like a gnat that accidentally flew into their mouths, said Putin, using language reminiscent of the Stalinist era. I am convinced that such a natural and necessary self-purification of society will only strengthen our country. He said the West is using a fifth column of traitorous Russians to create civil unrest. And there is only one goal, I have already spoken about it, the destruction of Russia, he said. The speech appeared to be a warning that his authoritarian rule, which had already grown tighter since the invasion began on February 24, could grow even more repressive. In a sign of that, Russian law enforcement announced the first known criminal cases under a new law that allows for 15-year prison terms for posting what is deemed to be false information about the war. Among those charged was Veronika Belotsarkovskaya, a Russian-language cookbook author and blogger living abroad. Both Ukraine and Russia this week reported some progress in negotiations. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Thursday that some negotiators were breaking into working groups, but there should be contacts today. Talks were held by video Wednesday. An official in Zelensky's office told the AP that the main subject under discussion was whether Russian troops would remain in separatist regions in eastern Ukraine after the war and where the borders would be. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive talks, said Ukraine was insisting on the inclusion of one or more Western nuclear powers in the negotiations and on legally binding security guarantees for Ukraine. In exchange, the official said, Ukraine was ready to discuss a neutral military status. Russia has demanded that NATO pledge never to admit Ukraine to the alliance or station forces there. The fighting has led more than 3 million people to flee Ukraine, the UN estimates. The death toll remains unknown, though Ukraine has said thousands of civilians have died. Associated Press writer Yuris Karmanow, in Lviv, Ukraine, and other AP journalists around the world contributed to this report.